They say family dinners bring people closer, but that Friday night, sitting at my in-laws' dining table, I realized something chilling. My own mother-in-law had just slipped something into my drink. She smiled at me, almost sweetly, as she slid the glass forward. "A special cocktail for my favorite son-in-law," she said. I smiled back, thanked her politely, and when she wasn't looking, I swapped my glass with her husband's. 45 minutes later, my father-in-law was rushing to the bathroom, pale and sweating, and in that exact moment, as our eyes locked across the table, my mother-in-law knew two things: that I had seen her, and that she had failed. That night was the start of everything. But maybe I should back up. My name is Julian Mercer. I'm 32 years old, an independent photographer based in Asheville, North Carolina. I built my business from nothing: weddings, wildlife, magazine spreads, anything that would pay the bills. I clawed my way up until I was good enough that National Geographic called me for assignments. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest, and I was proud of it. But to my in-laws, especially Diane, my wife's mother, it was never enough. "How's the little photography hobby going, Julian?" my father-in-law Gerald would ask, smirking over his glass of bourbon. Gerald was an investment banker, the kind of man who measured success in square footage and stock options. To him, my work was childish, disposable. And every Sunday dinner at their house felt the same: Diane fussing over her daughter, Gerald grilling me about money, retirement plans, health insurance. Meanwhile, my wife squeezed my hand under the table, her way of saying, "I'm sorry, just get through it." I loved her for that. I hated her parents for making her need to. The night it happened, I had just come back from Montana, a week in the freezing snow, chasing bison for a wildlife spread. I was exhausted, but Haley insisted. "It's Mom's birthday dinner. We can't miss it. Just a couple hours, I promise." I should have listened to the knot in my stomach, because the moment Diane cornered me in the kitchen, I knew something was off. Her eyes darted around before she handed me the glass. Her fingers trembled. "I made it special, just for you." And when I looked closely, I saw it. A faint film floating on top, catching the light. I kept my face neutral. "I'll help you carry these," I said, taking both glasses. And in the dining room, I slid the tampered one in front of Gerald. What happened next was chaos. Gerald turning pale, sweating, clutching his stomach, rushing to the bathroom as the sounds of his sickness echoed through the walls. Diane's face draining of color. Haley panicking, thinking it was food poisoning. And me? I quietly pocketed the untouched glass meant for me. In that moment, I wasn't furious. I wasn't even scared. I was cold, deliberate, because I finally understood something I had ignored for years. My in-laws didn't just dislike me. They wanted me gone. And if I wanted to keep my marriage, my life with Haley, I couldn't just shrug it off anymore. The following Monday, I handed that glass to a friend who ran a toxicology lab. 3 days later, he called. "Julian, there were benzodiazepines in that drink. Nothing lethal, but enough to knock you out cold. Maybe wipe your memory for hours." My blood ran cold. This wasn't paranoia. It was proof. Over the next few weeks, I started digging. And what I found shocked me. Diane had multiple prescriptions for Xanax, filled at 3 different pharmacies. She'd been abusing them for years. There were whispers in town, too. Stories of her strange behavior at country club parties, jewelry disappearing at a neighbor's house. things the family always managed to cover up. I started connecting the dots. This wasn't a one-time lapse in judgment. This was who she was. And when I confronted her, she didn't deny it. She smirked. "You're not good enough for my daughter. You never will be. A real man provides security, not photographs." She admitted her plan wasn't to kill me, just to drug me, make me miss a gallery opening, show Haley that I was unreliable. That was the moment my cold anger crystallized. She wasn't just attacking me. She was attacking my marriage, my wife, my family. For weeks, I stayed quiet. I didn't tell Haley, not yet, because I knew if I confronted Diane without evidence, she'd twist everything. But then, a package arrived. No return address. Inside, a USB drive. The footage was damning. Security camera recordings from Diane's own kitchen. Her pouring something into my glass. Gerald drinking it. Both of them later screaming at each other. "This isn't the first time, Diane. She was supposed to drink it, Gerald. He was supposed to fail." I watched, shaking. This wasn't just about me. This was a pattern. And when I dug deeper, I discovered something else. Haley's ex-fiancé, a man named Thomas, a doctor. Her parents had sabotaged that relationship too, convincing her he was cheating, planting evidence, whispering poison into her ear until she broke it off. Suddenly, my life made sense. It wasn't me they hated. It was anyone who tried to love their daughter. I couldn't stay quiet anymore. So I gathered everything. The toxicology report, the prescriptions, the security footage, emails, testimonies, and one evening I sat Haley, her brother Owen, and his wife Vanessa down, and I showed them everything. The footage played on the screen, Diane in the kitchen, Gerald calling it not the first time, the arguments, the manipulation. Haley sat frozen, tears rolling silently down her cheeks. Owen shook his head in disbelief. "That's not my parents." But deep down, he knew. That night, for the first time, my wife believed me. When Diane called the next morning, pretending nothing happened, Haley cut her off. "Mom, we saw the footage. We know everything. No more lies." And for the first time in her life, Haley stood up to her parents. We went to their house as a united front. I set up my camera, tripod, and all. "This is for the family archives," I said, and I recorded every word, every denial, every excuse, every time they tried to twist the story. And then Haley stood. "You don't control me anymore. You don't control Owen. This ends now." And just like that, the facade cracked. The empire of control they had built for decades crumbled in their own living room. Months passed. Haley and Owen began therapy. Diane and Gerald kept their distance. No more manipulation, no more games. When we announced we were expecting a baby, Diane tried to cry her way back into Haley's heart. But this time, it didn't work. Our daughter was born that summer. We named her Eliza. And when Diane and Gerald visited the hospital, they didn't lecture. They didn't interfere. They just stayed quiet. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't reconciliation. But it was respect. One evening, months later, I sat on the porch with Haley. Eliza was asleep upstairs. The stars stretched above the mountains. She asked me, "Do you think they've changed?" I thought about it, about all the years of manipulation, about the poison in the glass, about the footage that nearly destroyed us. "No," I said, "they'll never change. But they've accepted they can't change us. And sometimes that's enough." Because in the end, I hadn't beaten them by playing their twisted game. I'd beaten them by refusing to play it at all, by standing firm, by protecting the people I loved, by living life on my own terms. And honestly, that was the sweetest revenge of all.